Good. All right, how's everyone doing? Well, I'm going to be the afternoon MC. My name is Adam Wozni, so if you have questions, come and grab me. I'm going to keep the trains running on time, so please welcome to the stage Wesley Crook, CEO of FP Block, who'll be talking about building the bridge between enterprise and Ethereum. Welcome, Wesley.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody here. Great venue, great event. There's a lot going on. I think a lot of people are seeing it nowadays. A lot of the enterprise is coming in. A lot of the money's coming in from Wall Street. This is something we've been doing for over 12 years, is building enterprise-grade systems. So we have a lot of experience building these systems for folks, and we're seeing this merger between the enterprise and the Web3 world. And there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to make a lot of interesting plays with their technology. So today we're going to talk about how we're going to bridge, or how we see bridging the enterprise into the Ethereum ecosystem. For about the last decade, we've always been asking the wrong question. It's not should we build in a public or private blockchain. It is really like asking the question, do you build on the internet or the intranet? It's really a decision to maintain why the companies need to be doing this and how they're going to put their systems in place. The enterprise can't rely on a shared infrastructure. No CFO is going to sign off on variable cost gas fees. We need predictable cost management, predictable risk management, things of that nature. In the Ethereum world, in the Web3 world, we're dealing with governance splits, protocol exploits, internal reliance, and compliance is impossible. So with the Fortune 500s, today we've been doing it for quite a while in the cloud world. We run our critical workloads on public cloud without dedicated. We run our workloads on dedicated instances and VPCs. We can do the same thing in the blockchain world to make that work. A lot of these folks are building their own private chains, and that isolation kills them. You're spending a lot of money building a chain, hooking up to a database, and it's very expensive, and you're getting nothing for the value of the system. You need to get to the liquidity of the Web3 world. If you look at what's going on today in the Ethereum financial ecosystems, we have stablecoin that's a $225 billion market growing at 76%. We have a $5 billion RWA space that's expected to go to $16 trillion in the next 5 years. And then we have the enterprises coming in like BlackRock, like JP Morgan and others, building their systems onto the Ethereum rails. The regulatory environment has cleared up, so they now have the ability as organizations to clearly set their standards and what they need to do to drive the adoption from the enterprise space. The pattern that's emerging is sovereign infrastructure connecting to Ethereum. That's the answer. If you look at what's going on with the enterprises, they are not deploying to the Ethereum, but they are building sovereign infrastructures that they can fully control, but then they will connect to Ethereum for liquidity. So if you really look at it, they want to get to that $99 a billion of DeFi liquidity, the stable coins, get on institutional rails that are under sovereignty, that are under regulatory compliance and regulation for control, for risk management. That's where the value gets unlocked, is bringing that together. A lot of people talk about, bridging's where the exploits happen. That is true if you build poor code, if you don't have a testing protocol in place to support. But if you build smart contracts with good process and protocols and governance, you lose that risk. There's always a risk, but proper engineering will give you that ability to avoid the exploits. Proof points. We are building software like this all day long. We've been building it for 12 years. Currently, we have a project called Nat Gold that we've been doing tokenization of in-ground gold. We're dealing with geological verification, compliance issues, regulatory issues between the general public and the miners. that sovereign infrastructure is controlled in their environment, but we've bridged over to Ethereum for the liquidity and the tokenization of the gold assets. We've also done it for another customer, Six Sigma. It's a regulated sports book and predictions application that we're running in the marketplace. Same type of thing, fully regulatory, compliant predictions market. So they have come to the U.S., they are licensed in the U.S., and they're doing sports book and predictive markets in the U.S. space. And even though it's not the same thing, consumer scale, throughput, and institutional grade compliance, they're able to do this and tap into the various ecosystems of Ethereum to grab that liquidity that's out there. So what this means for Ethereum, in our opinion, it's the next $1 trillion via bridge. That's where the money is going to flow in, is through the bridges. You know, everything on the enterprise that connects to sovereign infrastructure to brings Ethereum. More assets flow through the network, more liquidity settling in the stable coins, more institutional capital will flow, and more real-world value anchors the Ethereum rails. So it becomes a ever-ending story to, you know, for the Ethereum ecosystem to continue to grow into the TradeFi and the financial systems that we're accustomed to in the Web 2 world. We built a framework called Colme because we have seen over and over and over again the issues that blockchains bring to the sovereign systems. So what it does is it gives sovereign chains the ability to bridge into these ecosystems in a secure, connective way. This has been proof points, Nat Gold, Six Sigma, Levana Perps, several other platforms that we've built on this. It really drives an idea of the application is the chain, and with the application being the chain, then you can control your gas fees, you can control your congestion, your connectivities, and things of that nature. So we are very happy to work with our customers in figuring out how we bring enterprise-grade software into the this Web3 world, and we're seeing a lot of success. I think we're seeing it here at ETHDenver. I think we're seeing it in a lot of different places with the types of people that are coming here, TradeFi companies, banks, financial institutions. You're seeing it because they see the value of what Ethereum brings to the market and want to be able to tie into that and hook up to that for their ability to you know, drive the markets. The bridge is open. You know, Ethereum is one of the most powerful ecosystems out there. We know that it's going on. We are in a transition period, you know, in our industry. I think everybody sees it, everybody knows it. This Web3 world is in a paradigm shift. We're bringing real-world enterprise Web3 world together, so we're seeing that merger happen. You know, the companies and the individuals in this world will need to get to these rails. I think in the next few years, you will see that Ethereum rails, Swift, ACH, you'll have choices on how to move your money. You know, if I was Visa and MasterCard, I'd be a little bit worried because I can use a stable coin to move that money through the system. Ethereum, it could be those rails. So there's a lot of positive things out there bringing enterprise into the Ethereum market. And you know, with the builders and the ecosystems that see this, they will untap the value. And there's a lot of value to be untapped. You know, we're talking $1 trillion markets here. You know, so for folks like us that are builders, we're engineering firms, we're helping companies identify that. Traditional enterprise companies do not understand how Web3 works. And that's been part of the problem of adoption. As we all talk about the security, the compliance, the regulatory environments, those are all clearing up, those are all changing. We're building the right tools for this. You know, so over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see the Web3 world and the traditional world kind of become one. We'll have one set of standards, one set of infrastructures. You know, there might be 2 or 3 different infrastructures, but there'll be less than we have today. You know, we'll have stable coins. You'll see banks issuing their own stable coins, countries issuing their own stable coins. You know, don't want to get back into the meme game that we have going on today, but you know, stable coins are going to be a part of our currency for the world going forward. So having infrastructure like Ethereum that can bridge in tightly with a sovereign infrastructure of a corporation is very, very important. So with that, you know, we'll conclude today. give you a few minutes back to the schedule to get everybody out on time, and I'll be in the back if you want to have any conversations around this. Thank you. That sucked.